going with this formation against this team? Just your thinking on that, what you got from it, and what maybe you didn't get from it?
Yeah, we went, wanted to control the middle of the field. We thought when we went there, we were too open through the middle of the field, and they were able to hurt us. We had our most reliable players, I think, in possession, more or less, out on the field, and we expected it to be an extraordinarily hot day, and we wanted to keep the ball. We wanted to overload the middle of the field at times. It's why we scored the first goal, to be honest, is they didn't know how to deal with the guys in the positions that we had them. I just thought as the game progressed, we started to crowd ourselves up a little bit too much instead of opening up space for each other. And then I thought, just because the game was a little slow, I thought at times we were a little bit too casual in our possessions. And if we would have been able to keep them a little bit sharper, I think we would have been in positions to hurt them. So I wanted to another look at Dejan and Javi together at top, but I didn't like it in just a flat 4-4-2 another. So we did a little bit more of an overload of the middle of the field to see how it was. So in my opinion, we should have created more clear chances. I think there was more opportunity there for us than we allowed ourselves to take advantage of for a couple of reasons, which I'll share with them. But in the end, I thought, again, considering the third game in a week, expectation to be very hot, I thought the first half we were fairly controlled through most of it.
This one, not so specific to the game, but maybe as the season's progressed, just Williams and Koulibaly as a partnership in central defense. We saw them come in last year, had difficult first seasons, and they've certainly been better this year. Just wondering how you feel they've evolved as the season has gone.
Yeah, I think they have grown together. I think they've found some comfort together as a pair. But for me, it's not just about those two; it's about all four. And I feel like in the last couple of games, we're making mistakes in our outside backs positions that have cost us points. And again, it's about our line, our whole group, not just two guys or three guys. It's got to be about four guys, and then it's got to be about the support that they have in front of them. And I thought by and large it was manageable, outside of a few plays that we didn't manage very well.
And lastly, just your thoughts on the other two penalty kicks. Arms in the air, always a little bit dangerous, but also the way that Cabral handled it in the box. I thought that he was very savvy on that.
Yeah, I thought he took that quite well, He's running at a pretty good speed across the face of the goal on the run, taking the ball. And the first touch was just good enough to invite the goalkeeper out to be able to give himself a second touch. So I was glad he didn't try to finish it. I was glad that he went to try to go by him, because I've seen him in those scenarios try to finish and not come out the right way. I thought it was a great decision to use the speed and the tempo that he already had going to continue past the goalkeeper. So I thought he took that really well. Handball, offsides, sometimes these things, sometimes I think they were handballs in all the instances, so I don't really have opinion. I didn't see them up close in person. I think they were, but I think for me sometimes there's some gray area in some of these things, and I don't know if it's my interpretation or the interpretation that the officials have or that it's put out there. But I felt like anytime your arm's in an unnatural position and you gain an advantage inside the penalty box or anything like that, it should be a penalty kick.
Greg, looking at Ricky and his passing and what he's been able to do for you guys, especially into Cabral and then sort of shuffling it along to Victor, I think, for the first goal to make sure, again, what kind of impact has he had on this team just in the short amount of time he's been with you?
Yeah, he's outstanding, and it's what I had talked about as we were getting him, his capacity to just kind of play on the move, to pick up the ball on the run and create new angles, get into the next line, unbalance oppositions. It's different than what anyone else in our midfield does. A lot of our other, most of our other midfielders, they just receive and they keep the ball moving quick, but he's able to pick it up on the move and, like I said, eliminate guys or at least change the angle of an entry pass from when he received it, which just creates an entirely different dynamic. Sometimes you get your wingers who can beat people or slide and create new angles, but to have a central midfielder that can do it is a special thing. And I find he finds the right balance between playing quick, but also at times taking the ball on the move and dribbling a little bit and opening things up. So certainly has brought a new dimension. His quality and his awareness is obviously is there for all to see, and so he's seeing those final passes, he's seeing those actions, which you know, is good for us. So we tried him a little bit on the edge of the diamond today, because he also puts in an incredible shift just work-wise, and tried to do it with Victor and him together to see how that would play out. Worked for the first goal. I would have liked to have seen some of that create more chances through the course of it, but I think at times, like I said, we rushed it, or we just missed the final passes a little bit. Timing was a little off, things like that, and, you know, some of that could do with fatigue, some of that can do with many things, so, but there was some good moments in there for sure, but Ricky's a special player.
And looking at, you talked about the outside backs and maybe missing some chances. I think Julian had 2 crosses in a row where he doesn't get it past the first defender. The second one ends up coming up behind him and scoring there. I think Raheem had a couple of those crosses too that missed that first defender. Where do you want to see that ball go? Does it need to go towards the line? Does it need to be cut back?
It depends. I mean, when you get to that final crossing position, depending on how the ball's played to you, but depending on how the defenders are organizing, whether you're behind the back line or the back line is recovered, it gives you the choice of cutback. In both of those scenarios, I think the ball has to be put in the air to the second post. There is nothing cut back, and there is nothing on the first post. It's got to be, in that scenario, it's got to be to the back post, and you got to give us a chance to get in the air, as it did when Sam heads the ball and it hits the guy's hand. We give ourselves a chance, but when you hit the first player, then it's going to be a counterattack potentially, right? Or it's at least putting yourself in a tough position. So, you know, Jules on those 2 missed them, and they went back the other way. You know, Mark was in a good position to control it. I think he bid a little bit to try to press it, and it ended up behind us. We still won enough time. Jules recovered sort of, but not all the way. So we had a number of occasions to still deal with that transition, and we didn't. So starting with the crosses all the way to the last part of the action, we should have dealt with it. All right, thank you.
Find some